Hi guys, I'm Dr. Robin and I just finished watching Strong Girl Namsoon this weekend. I loved the show, but there was a little bit of science in it that was not correct. And of course, the fact that they talked about how the super strength was inherited was incorrect did not affect the overall plot. I've also noticed that my students tend to pick up some science from popular culture, so I thought it would be cool to talk about how they could have talked about the science correctly. So to start, let's watch this scene from episode 1 in which they describe how the super strength is caused by an abnormality on the X chromosome.
이 집안 여자들은 대대로 괴력을 가지고 태어나. 그 내력이 500년도 넘는데 뭐 지금 와서 추정하기로는 아마도 X 염색체 변이로 생긴 초능력이라는 건.
So what is the problem? The problem is that an abnormality on the X chromosome that causes super strength would not mean that strength would be inherited by generations and generations of daughters. As a little bit of background, humans have 2 copies of 23 different chromosomes. We inherit 1 copy of each chromosome from our father, denoted here in blue, and 1 copy of each chromosome from our mother, denoted here in green. So what does this look like for the X chromosome? If we assume that Gil-Jud-Gan had 2 strong X chromosomes, let's look at what her children could inherit. Her daughters could inherit this copy of the strong X chromosome from her and a regular X chromosome from dad. Or they can inherit this copy of the strong X chromosome from her and a regular X chromosome from dad. She can only pass on 1 strong X chromosome to a daughter. And men also inherit an X chromosome from their mothers. So likewise, her sons could inherit this copy of the strong X chromosome from her and a Y chromosome from dad, or they can inherit this copy of the strong X chromosome from her and a Y chromosome from dad. It is the Y chromosome from dad that makes them male, but they still inherit an X chromosome from mom. So then what happens in the next generation? As we just showed, we know that Hwang Geum-ju can only have 1 copy of the strong X chromosome. Her daughters then have a 50% chance of inheriting the strong X chromosome from her and a regular X chromosome from dad, but they also have a 50% chance of inheriting the regular X chromosome from her and a regular X chromosome from dad. So an abnormality on the X chromosome means that there was only a 50% chance that Namsoon would be born with the strong X chromosome. She also had a 50% chance of being born with 2 regular X chromosomes. Likewise, her brother had a 50% chance of being born with the strong X chromosome and a 50% chance of being born with a regular X chromosome. So as you can see, saying the super strength is passed on from mother to daughters through generations because of an abnormality on the X chromosome doesn't work. So how can we fix it? Well, there is no genetic entity that is passed from a mother to all of her daughters and not her sons from generation to generation. However, mothers do pass on their mitochondrial DNA to all of their children. Now, mitochondria are small functional parts of our cells that make all of our energy. Because of this, you may have seen them on TikTok being described as the powerhouse of the cell. And they also have a little bit of their own DNA. So if the strong abnormality was on the mitochondrial DNA, it would be passed on from a mother to all of her children each generation. So if Gil-Jud-Gan had the strong abnormality on her mitochondrial DNA, both of her children would inherit that no matter what. And then Hwang Geum-ju would pass it on to both of her children no matter what. How could we then explain why just the daughters have super strength if all of the children inherited the strong abnormality on the mitochondrial DNA? I think a good option would be to say that a gene on the Y chromosome in the sons interferes with the strong abnormality so that the male children do not have super strength and in fact tend to be weak. I think this is a great option. I know that probably more people have heard X chromosome than have heard of mitochondrial DNA, but I think it'd be really fun to introduce mitochondria here. It would sound a little fancy and maybe some people would remember hearing it before. I also think it kind of provides an opportunity to discuss the science of mitochondria more, because mitochondria really do make all of our energy, which relates really nicely to having super strength or super speed. So those are my thoughts. Let me know if you have any other ideas about how the science could be fixed. I'd love to hear them. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.